Assalamu alaikum everyone. Yeah, in this recording, we are going to cover some details about informal letters, three topics about it. We are going to see format for informal letters, and we are going to cover a couple of grammar topics as well. The format is comparatively simpler as if we compare it to other topics. I'm going to begin with the basic details. Any topic that you are attempting in paper will be constructed in 5 paragraphs, ideally, because 5 paragraph structure is considered more ideal and balanced. You're going to divide paragraphs, uh, showing a clear shift in the paragraphs, make sure you are skipping lines here, indenting in is not needed. Okay, you're not recommended to indent your paragraphs. We don't do that. You can simply just skip lines after every paragraph to show a shift. But the first paragraph is called the opening paragraph. Roughly the length of 25 to 30 words will suffice. The other 3 paragraphs are called the body paragraphs. 80 to 90 words of body paragraphs will suffice. The last paragraph is called the closing paragraph, again roughly. It should be constructed between 25 and 30 words. How this calculation works, look, in exam, you are going to write between 250 to 350 words. So here, if you add on 3 body paragraphs and 2 opening paragraphs, you are easily covering up to 290 paragraphs, which I think you can wrap up in 300 plus words easily. So this can work. This can work easily to construct ideal paragraphs. Then what you are going to work, how we are going to work it out? The paragraphs. Before that, we'll begin with a complementary opening. Dear XYZ, where that XYZ can be a friend, a sibling, any family member. You may name it, but if the question states starting letter with dear aunt, dear friend, dear XYZ, then you may not breach those instructions. Your opening paragraphs need no details about how the weather is and how radiant your health is. These are more cliched ideas. You can also try it with a dramatic opening diving in the paragraph where you may start with something like, for an instance, if you're writing a paragraph where you are trying to ask your friend about the reasons of disappearing from school over past few days. So instead of saying, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? I'm fine, and I hope by the grace of Almighty you are enjoying radiant health. Yes, weather in the city is pleasant. Anyways, I'm writing this letter to check on if everything is okay your side. Now, this is such a cliche opening. You may change it with, my dear friend, have you really disappeared from the planet? It has been quite some time. I did not see you. Are you doing very well? I'm writing this letter so you're not complaining later that I did not follow up. You can just make a dramatic opening, calling it also some basic space work. All right. I'll tell you about the body paragraphs in just a while. Your closing paragraphs need to show some urgency in closing so as to give it some look of a casual, sudden, abrupt closure. And you can also add a request or advice depending on your topic. Okay, the body paragraphs. How do we work in the body paragraph in classes is I usually recommend students to construct rubric number 1, that is requirement number 1, or bullet number 1 in P2, rubric number 2, and rubric number 3 again. You may break it into 2 parts. I'll explain you how to break it into 2 parts ideally in para number 3 and 4. I do not recommend students to break rubric number 1 in 2 parts. Why not? Because that rubric only requires you to evaluate the two texts. When you are evaluating the two texts, please keep in mind you are just picking the ideas from the text. You are not able to do justice to the marking scheme where it requires evaluation and development as well. So I recommend students to construct their first rubric in 1 body paragraph, which is P2. That will do better. Acha. What do some of my kids do is they start their informal letters openings with words like, let me write it for you, words like firstly, moreover, and also. These are technically called transitional words and are strictly not recommended in informal letters because your letters are expected to look more casual, less formal. And just a recommendation, instead you can do it with some catchy phrases like, "Would you believe," and open your paragraph. Your other bullet where you are giving some suggestion or opinion, you may say, "I must tell you," and continue with your paragraph. You may work on the later part of your letter by using another catchy phrase, or a suggestion could be, "You have to believe," because you see, at the end of the day, you are going to be giving some suggestions or an opinion. So you are trying to make sure whatever you are stating is being accepted by your recipient, by your receiver. These are this is very basic, correct format for informal letter. Achha, all of this can get you marks in the content. Examiner gives you marks separately for language. There are 15 marks for language, where only a command over the word count in content will not suffice. You will also, when you are studying, you will also need to work on language elements like idiomatic structures, first conditionals, hypophora, third conditionals, to do justice to the language element of your informal letters writer. Next, we are going to look at the other topic in our book, the name of which is idiomatic structures. This you can find in your informal letter book, page number 14, grammar topic number 7, idioms. Idioms can make your write-ups look more casual and informal. Why? Because people you are friends with, people you are kin with, family with, you often use idioms for multiple purpose. For example, to convey sarcastic overtones, or to convey more grave ideas. So idiomatic structures, they are used in the casual context because they can perform multiple linguistic functions, a subtle meaning, a deeper meaning, or a sarcastic overtone, as mentioned in the introduction. Keep in mind, idioms do not carry any explicit meaning. That is कि उनका जो translation पे जो meaning बन रहा है या जो face value पे meaning होता है, that is not taken. It is usually understood by its conventional meaning or by the meaning that has been cascaded down over generations. जमाने से लोग उसको ऐसे ही समझते आ रहे हैं, and this is how it is used. A number of idioms are there printed in your booklet on page number 14 and 15. I understand some of them are way too cliched. For an instance, get out of me, or it's not a rocket science, or piece of cake. These are comparatively cliched, basic most. So you are suggested to focus on those I'm highlighting with an asterisk. I'll explain you this one in particular. But you get out of the hand, agar tum isko uh, contextualize karo, it can be used better. Or when you are giving suggestion to your friend, you can make use of this suggestion. When you're trying to calm yourself down, you need to pull yourself together. Add insult to injury to convey a sarcastic overtone. Ah, yes, and when you are trying to give some important suggestion which you want your friend to take into a serious account, you may use like barking up the wrong tree, and this can be used in believe me, you're not barking up the wrong tree. Matlab ki, believe me, I'm not the wrong person to give you this suggestion. Whatever I'm suggesting you is based on experience, is based on calculation, or I think this is something which can benefit you. In this context, you can use barking up the wrong tree. Uh, you can use this one to do something pointless, to make effort for something which is not going to reap benefits. You can use this one as well. Also, you can use these one. I think this one is my favorite ones. In most of the informal letters, you can easily fit go down in flames to suggest that if you do one thing, most of your efforts will fail. Yeah, whatever you have done has been pointless and you have failed utterly, bitterly. So it is better you need not do that because it might go down in flames. And this is yes, cliched as well, to do something which everyone is doing, to follow the trend blindly. So you can use jump on the bandwagon as well. Um, Out of the frying pan into the fire. If you intend to cook this one, it is mostly suggested not to use the whole of it. You can split it into pieces. For example, if you say even I'm in the frying pan, like I feel I'm in the frying pan, means that the thing situation is not working in favor. If you say I've landed into fire means you are in the worst of the scenario. So you may use it by breaking it into parts according to the context, or just either of it according to the context. You can tell your friend that you can feel, there's an instinct, or you can calculate that something may go wrong, and you can use this one as well. A couple of idioms have also been suggested here, although it says now your turn, but since this is a one-way communication at the moment, it's only me recording the class for you. You can use either of these to say that I need to take equal revenge when you are trying to rent and vent your anger, or you can suggesting your friend to be unafraid and fear and bear and face the situation, to say to take the bull, to take the situation by to take the face the situation boldly, or to take the bull by its horns. You can consider either of these in your write-up as well. You don't have to overdo, or don't have to permeate your informal letter with informal letters. If you place a couple of these as well in a meaningful expression, it's worth the marks. Take a bit of. Acha. We are going to next work on the last grammar concept for today. Grammar topic number 5, also called hypophora. Acha. Very interesting सा concept है. उसका concept is not the same as rhetoric, where you pose an emotional thought question, expecting the audience, your reader, to chew in on it or to provide food for thought. Instead, it works in a different manner. A hypophora. For an instance, something non-technical and easy to understand. So this is me, okay, and I am upset. I'm upset with the result, with my result. Okay, so I am really feeling low. I don't want to talk to anyone. All right, and here walks in my dad. Here walks in my dad. He notices that I am upset about a few things, and he wants to motivate me. Although I've not asked him for any motivation, he actually wants me to think over something I have not been thinking on. He's giving me a track to think on, and he's also giving me some suggestions. So he might ask me, Anna, do you think you cannot pull a good result? You cannot do better next time? This is I'm constructing a hyperpore. Anna, do you think you cannot do better next time? You won't stop here after asking this. Of course you can. You're going to give some surety, he's going to show some trust, but some trust. Of course you can. And then he's going to tell me 3 simple steps, each ideally beginning with a verb. Consult your teacher. Consult your teacher. Study with your friends. Or if you say trust yourself and trust your efforts, or practice more. Anything that he's saying. Any 3 suggestions he's trying to give me. This entire set of expression is hyperform. If I put it in more technical manner, so it begins with a question followed by a surety, and that surety is backed up by 3 suggestions. अब देखो ना informal context में how do you make someone comfortable? How do you make sure someone is paying ears and is listening? Hypophora is a common tactic. I suggest those 3 suggestions be ideally imperative, that they begin with verb. Begin it with verb. Show examiner your command or your construction. See, consult your teacher, study with your friends, and trust your efforts. So all these 3 are chop 3 suggestions, and beginning with a verb. These are all when you begin your sentences with verbs, they are called imperative structures. इसको जरूरत नहीं है इतना lengthy लिखने की, because this one hypophora is already going up to the length of the paragraph. Let's have a look at the notes. So hypophora is a rhetorical device where the writer poses a question, and then immediately that question is answered by the one who is posing that question. It is often used to engage the reader, so you can guide them to a specific point or argument. Informal letters can make the writing feel more conversational and engaging. That is, we can try to make it look more chatty. Chatty because it is needed when you are writing informal letters and emails. How can you construct 1? 3 examples have been mentioned here. So you are talking to someone who has a poor sleep pattern. So you might start it with a question. You might be asking yourself, why does my sleep even matter? See the question. Well, think about it. We're giving some surety that you need to understand why it is important, then you can back it up with three suggestions. That is a direct result of inconsistent. So you need to prioritize a good night's rest. This way you can notice a huge improvement in your energy and overall being. And this is because you have been inconsistent. Now you see this is written pretty much in it as compared to the easier example I've shown you above, because I said ideally you are expected to write it to a more direct version with three suggestions, each beginning with a verb, so you can keep it choppy. Otherwise, what happens? Most of the students use this technique to construct a whole length of a paragraph. देखो whole length of paragraph इस पे waste नहीं करना. Keep it precise and keep it striking. There are other examples as well that you may find useful. This is where we are stopping the session here today. Please make sure you complete your notes and get ready and prepare accordingly. That's it for today. Allah Hafiz.